Xi Jinping spent.
Could you please give your name?
My name is John
affiliation?
Shea. I'm from Taiwanese community, or you can say from Love of Taiwan Association. Okay. Xi Jinping spent about 6 minutes over his almost 210 minutes of speech, working report, mentioned that about relation with Taiwan. A lot of people thought that the speech talked to the people in Taiwan, but I personally think that's the message addressed to the people in China, because in this working report, he tried to build, his new era to build his authoritarian, and that's what he tried to convey. He knows that even he mentioned the sixth enemy, okay, as you mentioned earlier, but he personally knows very clear there's no any legal basis that PRC owns the sovereignty of Taiwan.
But that PRC?
PRC has no any legal basis
for sovereignty
of Taiwan. Okay. So he worried about if Taiwan repeat the de jure sovereignty, and he will block it out. So in your presentation, you mentioned about Tsai Ing-wen had her status quo, and of course it's very different to the Xi Jinping's status quo. Xi Jinping said that under one China, then we can open the door, right? But obviously Tsai Ing-wen would not follow that. And again, back to the United States. The United States had our own status quo. So my question to you, because you did mention the relation of PRC and United States will not disrupt the relation with the status of Taiwan. So my question to you is that which status quo you stand on, okay? There's two very different status quo. PRC said there's only one China, which is officially represented by the PRC, and Taiwan is part of it. That's from PRC. But obviously, United States say the status quo is based upon the three communicate and also the Taiwan Relation Act. Taiwan is not part of China. So which one, to your personal opinion, which one you stand by?
Well, several years ago, you may recall that when Richard Armitage testified before John Kelly, testified before the House Foreign Affairs Committee, he said, we stand behind the status quo as we define it. And I believe, I have a somewhat different view of what the U.S. position is on than you just stated. For the U.S., the status quo really means today maintenance of peace and stability. And it is up to the two sides of the strait to work out what their relationship is. We've said that for a long time. That was even the U.S. official position before Henry Kissinger's secret trip in 1971. And it has remained the U.S. official position. The policy is underlain by the TRA and the three communiques. But the U.S. does not really take a position on whether Taiwan is part of China or not. It doesn't address the issue. That's up to the people on the two sides to work out. But our insistence is that it be worked out peacefully, cooperatively, willingly, etc. When you say the PRC knows it has no legal basis, I guess I don't agree with that. I think I don't agree with that. But from their perspective, they do. And they're going to insist on that. And so we can argue till we're blue in the face that that's not the case. I don't think that's going to persuade them that they don't have a case, or that they need to act on that case. I want to go back to your very interesting point at the beginning that Xi Jinping was addressing the people of the mainland, not of Taiwan. I think he was doing both. I think there has been a problem to some extent in terms of managing public opinion in the mainland about Taiwan. From what I understand, and I'm not an expert in this area, but there is legitimate polling that goes on in the mainland, and people are, the Lai Ching are all very, ready to do anything they want to do. Well, leaders can't quite act that way, right? They have a certain larger responsibility. And there are, we know, tendencies in some places to toughen up the position. For example, potentially, and this may come up next March at the National People's Congress, to pass a unification law, not just an anti-secession law. Have to see where things are. I think that would present a huge problem for Xi Jinping. He doesn't want to have to fight that off. I think that the leadership in China, which has included everybody, well, Jiang Zemin maybe was a little more impatient, but certainly includes Xi Jinping, does not view the Taiwan issue, and they call it the Taiwan question, the Taiwan one key, the same way they view foreign policy questions. I mean, they really don't. They can set their own timetable, right? They cannot have a U.S. debate on who lost China, in their case, over who lost Taiwan. That would be fatal. But so I think that a lot of this, and this is where I think you have a very important point, is for Xi Jinping to persuade people, don't worry, it's not getting away. There is no particular rush to do this. We'll do it, and we'll do it right, and we'll get it done. But I do think he was also sending a message to people in Taiwan. And I think, as I said before, the message is essentially, and maybe this is too simplistic, but either Tsai Ing-wen needs to change her position, or you folks in Taiwan, you really need to rethink your vote last time. Is it in your interest? Are you benefiting economically? Do you have more sense of dignity? Are you participating in the international community in ways you both benefit and contribute? Why don't you think about that? I think that's the message he's trying to convey. How successful it is a different matter. But I think it's the message he's trying to convey to them. So I don't think it's one direction.
I think the 2007...
I'll tell you, if we could,
okay.
just again to give everyone an opportunity, and maybe, Alan, if you have any time afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sorry.